Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing this May the 13th, 2025 noontime daily cryptocurrency and XRP update. And we can see the dollar falls, Wall Street mixed, U.S. inflation data, U.S. China tariff pause lifts sentiment, but worries linger. Trade, the dollar fell and major U.S. stock indexes were mixed on Tuesday after data showed U.S. consumer inflation picked up less than expected in April when President Trump unveiled a raft of tariffs that have wreaked havoc on global markets. The U.S. and China on Monday said they would pause their trade war for 90 days, bringing down uh, reciprocal duties and removing other measures while they negotiate a more permanent arrangement. The arrangement has investors' appetite for stocks, cryptocurrencies, and commodities. Tuesday's inflation figures helped power that move. Uh, Gauge of stocks, the global index rose 0.61%. Bureau of Labor Statistics said the consumer price index of zero point 0.2 in April, bringing the annual increase down to 2.3 from 2.4. Economic polled by Reuters had forecasted a modest rise of 0.3% and a yearly rise of 2.4%. The report was good news. Chief Economic Comerica Bank in Dallas said in a note, inflation should be manageable for most consumers and businesses in 2025. That's just the inflation that they go by. Obviously, if you live in the real world like me, you, and the rest of us, prices are much higher than 2% from last year, which is on top of the 3% the year before, and then the 9%, and the 6%, and the 8%. These numbers just keep stacking and stacking and stacking. Um, but that was the problem with the tariffs that we talked about yesterday. They artificially created and it brought markets down, and now they're artificially fixing them, a problem that they created. So markets are starting to pump back up the last couple of weeks on that news, and you can see the Bitcoin price is still in the same area that we were in yesterday at its decision point. Are we going to break out and go to all-time highs at 119,286.47, or are we going to have a classic textbook bear market manipulated fashion to fleece and pull the rug on some more retail investors that started buying in at the second peak again? If this was a second peak, this is going to be very interesting. And what we're watching out for right now is, do we go to a new all-time high, or do we start challenging some back test? And if this was a bull trap, you would fall down to this 90,000 first, and then when you slip that, you would come very quickly down to the 89 to 90,000 next major underneath support, and then you might trade back up to the 97,000, and then very quickly you would trade back down to 74,000. It would only take about a week or two, less than 2 weeks to do that. Could be quicker than that. Or on the flip side, if this is a new all-time high, and that's where we're going to roar to, you're going to come straight up to this 119,000. You would have resistance at the double topping all-time high, but you would breach it, hold it as support, and then continue trading to the upside. So this is very interesting. I still believe and I still contend and I'm still promoting that I believe these will come back down. That doesn't mean I'm going to be right, but what we've been basing this off of to get us here has treated us very well to this point from way back here in December, in January, in late November, right? It allowed us to do some things. But that's what we're looking at here in the Bitcoin price. The Bitcoin dominance continues to fall, and that's allowed altcoins. They've come down a little bit, but they've been rallying still as a whole, because you can see dominance is down to 62.62%. And if that comes down to 58.69%, that would have a much bigger area for it to rally. Ethereum is in the exact same spot we were yesterday. We're still over the 200-day moving average, which is bullish. And we do know if you're over the 200-day moving average and you continue to hold it, you can pump up here to the next level. And that is your next major resistance level at 3,081.46, or the bottom part of that light green resistance and support trading area, right? But if you slip the 200-day moving average, you're underneath support. Your first one would be a slightly uptrending 100-day at 2,150. Your second one would be a fastly uptrending 50-day moving average that in a few days will have a bullish cross, just like Bitcoin, if the price continues to stay elevated or continues to pump higher than it is now. And then obviously your major underneath support is the top part of that light blue trading area, right? But right now we're bullish, and those are your support levels on your way down, your four below it, and your one major resistance level above it that would have a major reaction, but that is still 20% up. But that would be a major resistance level, and then if you broke that, you would go to the top part of that box, right? So that's what we're looking at there. XLM is in the same area you were at yesterday. You're still forecasted to have a bullish cross in about 24 hours, as long as the price stays elevated, maybe 36 hours, 1 to 1.5 days. And you can see the 100-day moving average is at 28 cents, but we did have a reversal yesterday off a wick high of about 33 cents. We came down to a wick low of a 11 point just over 11% down, and now we're sitting just about 7% off the local high yesterday. And we're still watching what we've been watching the last few days, and we seen what we were talking about yesterday before we had this reversal, where these three big wicks that had three big sell pressures and big tall wicks at the top. That indicates there's a lot of sell pressure there and forcing the price down, and that was something that we were going to pay attention to, because the volume in this whole move, just like the Bitcoin, has been trending down. We have a lot of sell pressure up there with the big wicks. On the daily, it starts off high, then sells off throughout the day. So we're going to pay attention to that, because if it breaks down, you would obviously look at your conglomerate and moving averages from the 100 to the 200 to the 50 as they're currently stacked, unless we have a bullish cross. And then your major support level that it's holding right now as support, which it's been support for 4 or 5 months. It's got to continue to hold that, would be your major area. Whoops. That you would have to hold at 25 cents. The XRP price is the same thing. You got that huge wick off at the 256, 255 major support level. And you can see from when old Vincenzo, members of Jabroni Kills video description and/or pinned comment, we made a call down here that we were in a head and shoulders, and we're going to go down to $1.21. And then over the next 3.5 months, the price went down as low as $1.61 on the wick, and it went down 52.03%. We were the only channel looking out for the retail investor and trader up here, saying do not buy the blow off top. There would be a better buying opportunity. And at the very least, if this pattern is blowing up in our face, which I still do not believe that it is, I still think it's going to actually happen. But if it did, remember, the Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing looked out for the retail trader at the max hype, the max hysteria, and the max fleecing, and preying upon the retail trader with the channels. And we were letting you know the price would come down because it went up 8x. It had to have a consolidation. And then over the next 3 months, the price led us all the way down there. And nobody thought it was going to do that, right? That's what we try to do, to give you the industry first mover advantage. And then we even did lay out this. It's been darker recently, but we laid out this, what we thought would be the mid to late summer, potentially going into the end of the year, after we fulfilled our $1.29 technical target. We would have a ferocious rally. Maybe the rally's just starting earlier, and the pattern that we had was the pattern. We just had it going down a little bit too far, and it just didn't get down that far. But then the pattern's going to fulfill itself, because this was the one that we were looking at a potential after for the mid and late summer through the end of the year, a reversal, right? So we got a lot of things going on, and that is kind of how we try to forecast and give you the first mover advantage into the future. And you can't get everything perfect, but I still think, even though as the days go on, it seems less likely, I still think this is going to reverse on itself just based on what's going on. But this is very, very interesting. A top end potential now, if it breaks above the 255 and confirms, you would go up to 302 very, very quickly, right? On the contrary, if you get a harsh rejection, you would start playing the moving averages, starting at the 200-day moving average, moving on down towards the neckline at $2.09. So this is a very critical time for the XRP, but we are giving you the best insight on pattern flips, pattern changes, uh, and seeing out ahead of what the rest of the market's seeing, and that's the value of this station. And we're going to continue to do that for you. Peace and love. I have to get back into the office.